for you guys out there is that like everything has been planned. They really thought everything through. So when you get into this, like it's serious. You're not just like throwing some shit together.
Right.
It actually takes a lot of planning and a lot of time, and I think that's really important. I mean, people ask us, what do you guys do all day when you're not doing EG? Like, there's a lot of work that goes into this show and the other stuff that we do, and it's not really exciting. It's not the glorious part. This is definitely the glorious part, being on camera, but, you know.
And then you
it
wake
takes a lot
up
of prep.
and do it again. You
Exactly.
know, like it's yeah, absolutely. You're absolutely right, Cameron. And you know, Tyler, I would encourage anyone if they've got questions to also fire them your way. And if you think there's any good ones, you know, fire them over here. But what kind of game? Because I assume one of the questions that you've seen, Tyler, is like, tell us about the game. Tell us about the game. Now, I don't even know if you can even talk about it.
Would you have to
or
kill
not.
all of us if you mentioned anything about the game?
If you can't talk about it, I've got an alternate question. So,
I mean, really, we do. I mean, since we do have all this game detail done, but we're not at a point where it's really worth even advertising it because.
Right.
I mean,
Are there guns? Are there guns in this game?
No.
That's it. Are there naked ladies? Is what
Do you have a hot coffee
the guys
unlocked?
want to know. No, I'm just kidding.
So yeah, I mean, we're pretty much keeping story details to a minimum. We did release kind of a basic paragraph teaser,
Right.
which didn't even say much about the storyline, but people, in order to contract someone to do work, we kind of had to show like, this is kind of roughly what you're working on.
Of
That's
course.
about it.
You want to give. Someone's got to have a visualization or even some sort of conceptual.
I mean, I've
idea of
gotten
where they're
emails from
going.
people that like, they've gotten mad at me like, why don't you just post the entire script online? It's like, we're not.
Yeah, why would
Why?
you? Right,
That
why
ruins
would
the
you?
point of the game.
So with that being said, you know, what kind of games do you want to make? I mean, looking at the industry, knowing what you like what is your goal?
Do you mean like genre-wise? What kind of games?
You know, I
or-
mean, like, I don't know. I mean, I guess you could look at this question a number of ways, from like genre to, you know, I want to make games that like people can connect with the characters, or that gives you a thrilling experience, or you know, I mean, I'm sure everyone wants to make a game that does all that stuff in one game, but you know, like, where are you at? You know.
I mean, kind of. I guess one of the founding kind of principles that we kind of put in the company is that we wanted to make games that were actually worth the hype. You know, you have a
that's good.
storyline that actually makes sense.
Right.
You know, like some detail is not going to come up that, like, where did this come from? Like, so even though because we have too much detail for one story, so we had to take details and kind of condense it down where, you know what's going on, but we'll have to elaborate on it a little bit more, like in a sequel or something like that.
Right.
So we really wanted to do more story-driven games where we can get kind of feel for the characters.
Okay.
I mean, you know, this guy's going through a good time, bad time. You know,
Right.
so this epic battle, and he's feeling this way because of all this stuff that's happened.
Okay. Right on.
And so it's
do you think that that's really hard? I mean, what percentage of games today do you think are like really achieving that? Is it?
Not very many. I mean, there are games that I play where it's just, you know, it's an awesome game. I mean, I'm not done with Assassin's Creed yet, but playing through it, I mean, you really start to, I mean, it's got an immersive storyline. I mean, I
Right.
spend half the time just running across buildings and just saving
Right,
citizens,
exactly,
even though it's
exactly.
repetitive at times. But it's hard to do because we mapped out kind of main points. That's how I first wrote it. It's just, all right, these are kind of the main things that go on between the main characters. But it's hard because you have to have all these secondary characters that relate to the main storyline somehow. Like, why is this guy here? Like, why is he doing this?
It's
And
very similar to, you know, even a movie, like making sense of something like that.
Yeah, so
right?
and you have all these events kind of going on at once, and you have to coordinate it so it all makes sense. Because one of the first problems we had is that we were trying to figure out a way how to actually tell the storyline without, you know, doing a 20-minute intro. Cinematic, but we actually
and that's something. Let's talk about that for a second, because one of the things, if you are a fan of the show, you know, of old, that people definitely know what I'm talking about, is that I hate getting an RPG and popping it in my system and fucking reading and watching and doing all sorts of shit for like 2 hours, and then all of a sudden I see the title screen. It's like, oh, you're playing Kingdom Hearts 2. It's like, well, dude, I knew that shit already. I mean, that's hard in development because you want to lay down a foundation, right? You want to, like, you're going off of this story, but then do you have to create interactive elements that, like, how does that work? It seems like such a foreign process. We don't think about it when we play it. But now that you mention it, it's like, holy shit, you know, I never really even thought about
Yeah, I mean, a lot. It actually helped develop our storyline because we had this like, all right, we have all this stuff to kind of explain, but we can't do a 20-minute intro. I mean, I don't like playing through games where you know get to a cutscene and like 10 minutes later I'm back to playing. I like kind of interactive cutscenes.
Right.
Where you can actually just skip them if you want to.
Right.
And so we had to rework the storyline. Like, how do we? So we kind of just broke it down by points, and did it in a way where it's more mysterious in the beginning, which actually helped tell the storyline. So as you actually play through the storyline, you start finding out these details that we initially were going to just put in the beginning.
All right, I see. So tell me this. What kind of games inspire you? Like, what have been some of your inspirational games throughout the years?
I mean, pretty much every game in some ways is inspirational. You play games, you know, like Half-Life 2 or like...
That's a very Force-like answer, by the way.
Well, because like you play games like that and you're going through like the levels and like how do they actually, you know, they did a great job with this level. You don't just run in a building and run out. I mean, you run in, go up and down stairs and, you know, there might be an explosion. You kind of have to map that out. But I've also played through some games where you play through and like this game is like the worst game I've played. So you kind of take that
fair,
like...
Fair enough. You find inspiration in all games, but I'm going to put you on the spot.
All right, go for it.
Because you know, there's even games for me that may not even relate to what I do or what my opinions are in games. Like they're just like, this is like my timeless game. I want to be buried with it. Like certainly there's got to be that inspirational game out there for you.
No, actually there isn't.
Really?
I mean, people like I've been asked that question. Well, a similar question, like what's my favorite song or what's my favorite band?
Yeah, I understand.
You can't really just say one. There's so many good ones.
All
there's
right,
so many bad
how about
ones.
this?
Do a
as
top
quickly
five?
as you can, just throw out 5 games.
5 games, like old school, new. I mean,
Any
whatever,
school, brother.
Dude,
all right, like like the original Mario, Duck Hunt. I mean, some recent ones like Assassin's Creed, Half-Life 2, or even like Diablo.
Okay, yeah, all right, yeah, right on. I'm like, Ultima Online, Final Fantasy VIII, shit like, so yeah, that's totally cool. So are you guys, tell us, I guess, about the process of licensing the Unreal Engine.
I mean, it's not a very complicated process. Like, I originally wrote an email to Michael Capps, the president, and
first, I guess we should say you guys are definitely you are using the Unreal Engine.
We are official licensees.
Okay, officially.
Yes.
So for those, I'm sure some people were probably asking about that too, Tyler, because you guys don't have to like write an engine from ground up.
Yeah,
That's helpful.
so
Is End up and running on Unreal?
kind of, because what happened is that we were actually using the Half-Life 2 engine, the SDK, because it was just something to use for a demo.
Right.
And it was probably about halfway or over halfway through that demo, the tech demo we're making, that we decided to finally license Unreal Engine 3. And so what we did is we just finished it quickly in Half-Life 2, and now we're just taking those, importing them, kind of, because we had to lower, I mean, I'm not trying to bash, Half-Life 2 engine, but we had to lower the visuals so it actually low-res for the textures and even the models. And so we're moving that stuff over to Unreal Engine 3. We're doing smaller demos to kind of show, we have this gameplay kind of done on the Half-Life 2 engine, but visually, what can we produce on Unreal Engine 3?
From a developer side, because we always hear sort of like, oh, the Unreal Engine 3 is fucking awesome, like from the developer side, like, because we look at it from a graphical standpoint. Look at what this did. Like, is it as amazing on the development side too? Do you think?
It actually is. Like because after talking to their president, I got referred to Jay Wilbur, and we got an evaluation copy of the engine. And so I think we had 90 days to play around with it. There were tutorial videos. We had the actual engine to play with. And just playing around with it, I mean, like the scripting and the lighting, it's very user-friendly.
That's awesome.
I mean, it's pretty, I can program and model and stuff, but I don't have, a degree in like programming.
Right.
But it was very easy to pick up and just, make some quick little demo. You run on a platform and it triggers. And
that's awesome.
It was pretty user-friendly.
And one thing that's most interesting to me is that like we hear it in the news a lot, Capcom licensed Unreal Engine, and it almost becomes sort of a thing of mysticism where it's like, oh, well, it must be such a tough engine to get, and it must be so hard to work, and they must be charging a gazillion dollars for it. But it's really out there for for a lot.
Well,
of
I mean, not anyone can just license it. I mean, we came to them, as a development company, like, we really want to, evaluate this engine if it's going to be the right one for us. And so we got the evaluation copy, like our lead programmer got it. I got a few people on the team got a hold of it and just played around with it.
So there's some legwork involved.
Yeah, and so we were playing around with it for probably a month or so, and then we were, like, yeah, we actually want to license this, because it was about that time, because we wanted to go into publisher meetings with engines kind of priced out, but not actually licensed. But it was around that time we were just doing research where publishers like to see kind of proven technology.
Oh yeah, I bet.
And so that's when we had all these engines we were evaluating, like, all right, this one just kind of came along, and we just, like, when we were playing with it, like, this is the one. It was kind of like, I guess, the company logo. Like, we hired a guy to do the logo, and when he sent me that logo, I was like, this is the one. You just kind of, you just know it's the one.
Yeah.
Don't make any more. I mean, we're done.
I feel that.
Yeah. So it was, we started playing with it. And it's like, this is the one we're gonna use.
Awesome. That's
Okay.
very cool.
Marcus.
So, yo, what
or
up?
Wheat. Sorry.
Yo.
I've got 2 questions from Stickum for you.
Okay.
First one is, Enemy D wants to know, what is your game coming out for, like PC, console? I don't know if you said that or not.
Right now, I guess in the press release we did announce PC and 360, but it all depends, because we're still looking at the PS3. We're probably gonna do on the PS3, but if we sign with a publisher like Sony, it's not gonna be on the 360.
Right.
And, if we sign with like Microsoft Game Studios, it's not gonna be on the PS3.
Right.
And so it kind of depends on the publisher.
Of course.
We do want to release it on all PC, 360, and the PlayStation 3. But it really depends on the publisher, because I really don't like it when games come out that are exclusive to one system.
So actually, that news story that we talked about earlier actually sort of like rang true to your heart, that there is indeed truth in the fact that while exclusives are great for Microsoft to sell a 360 or Sony to sell a PS3 or Nintendo to sell a Wii, you're getting more exposure for your game when it's on every platform.
Yeah, it's a lot of fun to develop games, and it would be great to see it on the market. But at the same time, from a gamer standpoint, I don't own a PS3 yet. I didn't even own a 360 till when we were talking to Epic Games, because I bought a 360, bought Gears of War and BioShock, and started playing those, because we have the engine, but what is actually made on this engine?
Right.
And it's hard, because games that come out like PS3, like I want to play Ratchet. But I don't own a PS3 yet, so I can't buy it for PC because it's not on there, or the 360. So it helps. Yeah, it does help boost console sales, but from a gamer standpoint, it's frustrating too.
Yeah.